Welcome back to the Coin Lover and Treasure Hunter. Today we are diving into the world of Australian 1-cent coins, specifically the rare and highly sought after 1966, 1975 and 1977 coins. These little copper coins may look ordinary, but some of them are worth big money. Today we'll show you how to spot the rare versions, why collectors are hunting them down, and just how much these coins could fetch in the market. So grab your magnifying glass and let's uncover the hidden value of Australia's smallest coins. Let's get started. First up, Australian collectors often speak with deep admiration about the humble 1-cent coin from 1966 without any mint mark, and when examining it in uncirculated condition, one quickly realizes that this small bronze piece holds a surprisingly rich story that stretches far beyond its modest face value, and this script will guide viewers through a detailed and engaging 40-minute style exploration that uncovers the history, the design choices, the scarcity, the condition factors, the collector psychology, and the market behavior surrounding this distinctive Australian coin, while building a slow, deliberate narrative that allows the audience to truly picture the era, the minting process, and the significance. When we travel back to 1966, we find Australia in the midst of a major transformation as the nation moved from the old pre-decimal currency to their brand new decimal system, and part of this transition involved the creation of the 1-cent coin, which entered circulation with a clear message of national identity and artistic pride. And the version without a mint mark has always drawn the attention of collectors because it ties directly to their earliest days of decimal production, which were aimed at supporting a smooth financial shift across the entire country, and therefore carried immense symbolic importance for citizens and historians who witnessed the change. The design chosen for the 1-cent coin reflected the unique wildlife of the continent through a carefully sculpted image of a feathertail glider, and although many Australians used these coins daily at the time, the uncirculated survivors that remain today offer a pristine snapshot of the minting craftsmanship, revealing crisp lines, smooth fields, bold relief, and an overall aesthetic that reminds collectors of how these coins originally looked the moment they left the press. And this is a key reason why uncirculated pieces inspire so much enthusiasm and respect among numismatists. Understanding the absence of a mint mark is essential because mint marks help identify where a coin was struck, and in the case of this particular issue, the missing mark confirms that it originated from the primary national mint. And because several varieties and mint mark positions appear across different years and denominations, the version without a mark has gained recognition for its clarity and simplicity, which appeals strongly to those who prefer coins that retain the most original form possible without. When discussing value, one must remember that numismatic pricing is never static and depends on several influences, including rarity, demand, visual appeal, and current market trends. And the Australian 1-cent coin from 1966 without any mint mark in uncirculated grade can obtain interest from both beginner collectors and advanced researchers, and while values typically range from a modest figure to a slightly higher premium, in exceptional cases the true worth often emerges from the story each collector attaches to their a subscription or membership within a numismatic group or an online Australian coin service can greatly enhance the collecting experience, because such platforms frequently share updates, research guides, community discussions, and price movements that allow enthusiasts to track how coins like the 1966 1-cent evolve in market visibility over time. And these services often help collectors learn to differentiate between lightly handled examples and genuinely uncirculated pieces, while also offering access to grading, insights, storage advice. Another important aspect of this story is their wider cultural shift that decimalization triggered in school shops, banks, and households, and Exploring this transition in a YouTube video allows viewers to imagine the sense of novelty and curiosity that Australians felt as they encountered the new coins for the first time and holding a mint state. Example from that exact year often creates an almost time capsule sensation, as though one is physically touching a preserved moment from the national changeover. And this feeling of connection is one of the most powerful emotional drivers behind the coin market. Illustrate how small denominations can become historically significant even after losing their everyday function, because once the 1 and 2 cent coins were withdrawn from circulation, many people began looking back at them with nostalgia and renewed interest. And this shift transformed what was once an ordinary coin into an object of study and appreciation, especially when the condition is so well preserved that every detail stands out with clarity, reminding collectors of the era when the coin still had purchasing power and formed part of everyday commerce. For a long-form YouTube script, the narrative can highlight not only the technical qualities of the coin but also the human stories connected to it, such as families saving jars of coins, children learning arithmetic with new decimal units, and mint workers adjusting to the enormous production demands of the changeover. And these reflections help bring emotional depth to the topic and make the audience feel genuinely engaged, while the script examines the artistry, the metallurgy, the historical environment, and the preservation challenges that uncirculated coins face today, especially concerning temperature handling and long-term storage. As the video concludes, the script can encourage viewers to appreciate the Australian 1 cent coin from 1966 without a mint mark as a small yet powerful reminder of national evolution and numismatic heritage, and it can motivate collectors to seek uncirculated examples with care, patience, and informed judgment, while also emphasizing that the true value of such a coin extends far beyond catalog numbers, because it rests in the memories it evokes, the craftsmanship it preserves, and the quiet connection it forms between the present and the defining historical moment when decimal currency reshaped the Australian economy and identity. Next up, the Australian 1 cent coin of 1975 belongs to the early decades of decimal coinage in the nation and carries the charming frilled neck lizard designed by Stuart Devlin, whose wildlife-inspired motifs brought natural vitality into Australian pocket change. And although the Royal Australian Mint in Canberra was responsible for the production of the majority of coins in that era, these coins do not bear a visible mint mark at all, creating a uniform appearance that can leave new collectors curious about their origin. And when found in uncirculated condition, the smooth surfaces retain their original luster, showing bright metallic warmth across both obverse and reverse, while the sharp details of the crowned portrait of Queen Elizabeth II by Arnold Machen seem to shimmer softly under direct. In examining the true appeal of this uncirculated 1975 piece, we must remember that the Australian 1 cent denomination has long been withdrawn from active circulation, and since 1992 it has effectively disappeared from everyday use, leaving only stored hoards, collectors, and the occasional forgotten jar of small change as remaining habitats for these bronze survivors. And because uncirculated pieces were rarely set aside in very large numbers, the value for pristine examples has remained stable, with collectors who appreciate high-grade coins paying special attention to the absence of bag marks, the clarity of the lettering, and the depth of relief across the frilled neck lizard that seems to leap forward with naturalistic grace. As we look at the value of a 1975 Australian 1 cent coin without mint mark in uncirculated grade, its worth typically falls into a modest but pleasing range for collectors of pre-decimal and early decimal coinage, and although not considered extremely rare, the finest examples with brilliant red surfaces can command a premium at auction or in private sales, especially when housed in protective holders that prevent environmental damage, since bronze coins are susceptible to spotting, discoloration and gradual toning that can either enhance or diminish aesthetic appeal depending on the pattern and intensity of the natural changes that may occur over many decades of storage. For those who subscribe to numismatic valuation guides and market updates, the value of this coin often appears in price tables for lower denomination Australian decimals, where it typically carries a small but respectable premium in uncirculated condition, and many collectors rely on monthly bulletins, online newsletters and subscription-based catalogues to track how these coins perform in the ever-shifting world of hobby demand. As more people become interested in collecting modest denominations, rather than focusing only on high-value rarities, and the 1975 1-cent piece therefore finds a stable but consistent presence in discussions surrounding entry-level coin collecting. Another layer of interest comes from the metallurgy itself, since the Australian 1-cent coin is composed of bronze, formed from copper, tin and zinc, giving the piece its classic reddish tone, and this mixture allowed the coin to develop variations in color ranging from fiery red to mellow brown depending on storage and circulation, and uncirculated pieces from 1975 often retain a bright appearance that is particularly cherished by collectors who value original mint brilliance, and this natural shine contributes not only to they. To understand the context of this coin, we must look at Australian numismatic history, where the shift to decimal currency in 1966 represented a monumental transition from colonial era designs to a streamlined metric-based system, and coins like the 1-cent piece carried national wildlife motifs that celebrated unique Australian fauna and helped foster a sense of identity through everyday currency. And for collectors of today, the 1975 1-cent coin serves as a snapshot of that early decimal era, reminding us of a time when small. For viewers who may wonder why uncirculated coins hold such fascination, the reason lies in the preserved state of the item, which remains untouched by the harsh realities of circulation, and a truly pristine 1975 1-cent coin can display smooth fields, crisp edges, and fine detail throughout the frilled neck lizard, along with an obverse portrait free from wear and softening, and this preservation transforms the coin into a miniature historical artifact that stands apart from common circulated examples that often appear darkened, scratched, or worn, and thus uncirculated pieces remain the target for collectors who appreciate untouched numismatic art. While the monetary value of this coin in uncirculated condition is generally modest, the historical and educational value is far greater for hobbyists who enjoy minting techniques, die variations, minor design changes, and the broader context of Australian economic shifts. And for students of history and culture, the coin represents a connection to the mid-1970s, a decade of transformation in Australian society marked by political change, cultural evolution, and growing national identity, and the coins of that era echo these developments in subtle artistic ways that continue to captivate viewers and collectors alike. As we conclude this lengthy exploration of the 1975 Australian 1-cent coin without mint mark, held in uncirculated condition, we can appreciate how such a small piece of bronze holds layers of narrative encompassing artistry, history, economics, metallurgy, preservation, and collector enthusiasm. And while its market value may remain modest, its significance endures for those who see coins as tiny gateways into the past. And for anyone beginning a numismatic journey, this humble 1-cent coin offers an accessible and meaningful entry point into the rich and endlessly fascinating world of coin collecting, where every artifact carries a story waiting to be told. Next up, the 1977 Australian 1 cent coin without a mint mark in uncirculated condition is one of the most intriguing pieces of Australian numismatic history because it represents a year of significant transition in the country's coinage system, and although the coin is made of bronze, its historical context and rarity make it highly desirable among collectors and enthusiasts, and in this video we are going to explore every aspect of this coin from its historical background to its design, composition, mintage, varieties, market value, and factors that influence its worth in the collector's market, while also giving you tips on how to preserve and authenticate this coin for those who are serious about building a comprehensive collection. To begin with, it is important to understand the historical context of the Australian 1 cent coin, because it was part of the decimalisation process which began in 1966 when Australia shifted from the pound, shillings and pence system to a decimal currency system, with $1 being equivalent to 100 cents. The 1 cent coin specifically was introduced to facilitate small transactions, and it was minted primarily in bronze with a composition of 90% copper, 5% zinc and 5% tin, and the 1977 edition without a mint mark is particularly notable because it was produced during a time when the Royal Australian Mint was experimenting with different production methods and variations in order to meet both domestic and international demand, which makes this specific coin a fascinating example of minting history and a key piece for collectors seeking completeness in their collections. Moving on to the design elements of the 1977 Australian 1 cent coin. It features on the obverse side the portrait of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, which was designed by Arnold Machen. The effigy shows the Queen wearing the royal diadem and facing right with the inscription Elizabeth II Australia 1977 surrounding the portrait, and on the reverse side the design showcases the iconic Australian image of a feathertail glider, commonly known as the possum, designed by Stuart Devlin, whose designs for Australian decimal coinage are widely celebrated for their elegance and attention to detail. The glider is depicted in mid-leap across a branch, capturing both motion and the unique character of Australian wildlife, and this artistry contributes significantly to the aesthetic appeal and collectible value of the coin for numismatists worldwide. The 1977 Australian 1 cent coin without a mint mark was primarily produced at the Canberra branch of the Royal Australian Mint, and the absence of a mint mark makes it somewhat rarer than other coins of the same year that may have carry marks indicating their minting location. And in terms of mintage figures, exact records indicate that a limited number of coins were issued without a mint mark, which further increases the desirability of the coin among collectors who are focused on obtaining specific varieties and in uncirculated condition. These coins retain their original luster and detail without the wear and tear associated with circulated coins, which makes them highly prized, especially when graded by professional coin grading services. When it comes to evaluating the market value of the 1977 Australian 1 cent coin in uncirculated conditions, several factors come into play, including the overall grade of the coin, its visual appeal, absence of defects, and the current demand among collectors and dealers. And while the coin itself may not carry an extraordinarily high intrinsic metal value due to its bronze composition, the numismatic value can be significantly higher, with estimates ranging from modest to more substantial sums depending on condition, rarity, and desirability. And those interested in buying or selling should closely monitor auction results, numismatic catalogues, and market trends to obtain a realistic assessment of current pricing and potential investment opportunities for the future. Collectors and investors should also consider the grading system when assessing the 1977 1 cent coin, as professional grading services such as the Australian Coin grading service or the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation provide standardized evaluations which assign numerical grades based on criteria such as strike, quality, surface preservation, luster, and overall appeal, and coins graded at the highest levels of uncirculated, such as MS65 or higher, are extremely rare and command a premium price because they exhibit virtually no handling marks or imperfections and have maintained their original mint brilliance since leaving the mint, and understanding the grading system is essential for anyone serious about acquiring or selling this particular coin. In addition to grading and condition, provenance also plays a role in the value of the 1977 Australian 1-cent coin without a mint mark, because coins that have documented histories or come from reputable collections are often more attractive to buyers who are seeking assurance of authenticity and historical significance, and for collectors looking to expand their collections. Acquiring coins from established dealers or reputable auction houses ensures that the coins are genuine and not subject to forgery, which is an unfortunate reality in the world of numismatics, and therefore provenance can sometimes add an additional layer of. Another important aspect to consider is the storage and preservation of the coin, because even uncirculated coins can lose value if they are exposed to adverse conditions such as humidity, temperature fluctuations, dirt, or improper handling, and best practices for preserving coins include using inert holders such as acid-free flips or capsules, maintaining a stable environment with low humidity, avoiding direct contact with bare hands, and storing them in a secure location to prevent. The 1977 Australian 1-cent coin without a mint mark is also interesting from a cultural and historical perspective, because it reflects a period in Australian history where the nation was fully embracing its decimal currency system and establishing unique designs that represented the natural and cultural heritage of Australia, and the coin itself has become a symbol of the 1970s era of Australian coinage, and its design continues to resonate with collectors and enthusiasts alike because of its artistic qualities and representation of Australian identity, which elevates its significance beyond just monetary value. For those who are exploring the coin market, it is worth noting that interest in 1977 Australian 1-cent coins has remained strong, and in some cases has increased due to the rising popularity of numismatics as a hobby and investment avenue, and while it is a modest denomination, the rarity of specific varieties such as the coin without a mint mark in pristine uncirculated condition makes it a sought-after item, and careful research and patience are required to acquire such coins at reasonable prices while avoiding overpaying and staying. Finally, understanding the full scope of the 1977 Australian 1-cent coin without a mint mark in uncirculated condition involves appreciating its historical background, design features, mintage varieties, market value, grading, provenance, and preservation practices, and by immersing oneself in these details, collectors not only gain a deeper understanding of this specific coin but also develop a broader appreciation for Australian coinage and numismatics as a whole, and whether you are a beginner or an advanced collector, this coin represents an essential piece of history that offers both aesthetic enjoyment and potential investment value, making it a truly remarkable artifact in the world of collectible coins. Thanks for watching.